On December 8, 2025, the Supreme Court became the battleground for a pivotal constitutional question, one that could reshape the relationship between the president and the nation's independent agencies for generations to come. Can a president fire the head of an independent agency for any reason, or are there limits to this power set by Congress to protect agency independence? The case, Trump versus Slaughter, began when President Trump removed FTC Commissioner Rebecca Kelly Slaughter, not for misconduct or incompetence, but simply because her policy views didn't align with his administration's priorities. This unprecedented move sent shockwaves through Washington and the legal community. This action challenged a legal principle that shaped American government for nearly a century, pitting the president's authority against the independence of regulatory agencies. For decades, these agencies have operated with a degree of separation from the White House to ensure unbiased, expert-driven decision-making. At stake is whether the president has total authority over executive branch officials, or if Congress can shield agency leaders from political firings to preserve checks and balances within the federal government. The Trump administration argues for broad presidential control, claiming it ensures democratic accountability and allows the president to implement the policies voters elected him to pursue. Opponents warn this would undermine expert-driven regulation and destabilize agencies like the FTC, Federal Reserve, and SEC, which rely on independence to function effectively and protect the public interest. The Supreme Court's decision could redefine the balance of power in Washington, affecting dozens of agencies and the very structure of government. The ruling will set a precedent for how much influence future presidents can wield over independent regulators. The outcome will determine if rules made for a simpler government still fit today's complex administrative state, and whether agency independence can survive in an era of increasing political polarization and executive power. Rebecca Kelly Slaughter, a Democratic FTC commissioner, found herself at the center of this storm, navigating through a complex and highly charged political landscape. Appointed in 2018 and reappointed by President Biden, her term was set to last until 2029, marking a significant tenure in the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC's bipartisan structure is meant to ensure nonpartisan enforcement of consumer protection and antitrust laws, fostering a balanced approach to regulation. In March 2025, the Trump administration abruptly fired Slaughter, citing only a policy disagreement, a move that sent shockwaves through the political and regulatory communities. No misconduct or incompetence was alleged, just politics. The decision was seen by many as a politically motivated action rather than one based on performance. This action clashed with laws protecting FTC commissioners, which allow removal only for cause, like neglect of duty or malfeasance, ensuring their independence. By firing her for political reasons, the administration directly challenged Congress's intent to insulate the FTC from presidential whims, raising serious legal and constitutional questions. Supporters of removal protections say they're vital for agency independence and public trust, arguing that such safeguards are essential for maintaining the integrity of regulatory bodies. Critics fear that without them, agencies could become tools of the president, leading to unstable and politicized regulation, undermining their effectiveness and credibility. The firing set the stage for a legal showdown over the future of independent agencies, a battle that could redefine the boundaries of executive power and agency autonomy. The legal foundation for Slaughter's case is the 1935 Supreme Court decision, Humphrey's Executor versus United States. That ruling held that presidents can't fire FTC commissioners over policy disagreements, distinguishing independent agencies from purely executive offices. The court reasoned that Congress created agencies like the FTC to perform quasi-legislative and quasi-judicial functions, requiring insulation from direct presidential control. This precedent has underpinned the administrative state for decades, allowing expertise and continuity to thrive. Now the Trump administration argues that Humphrey's executor is outdated and unconstitutional, claiming the president must have full authority over executive officials. They say insulating agency heads makes them unaccountable to voters. The case is a direct challenge to one of the Supreme Court's most significant decisions, with the potential to upend the structure of independent agencies. The stability of the entire system is at stake. The court must decide if a 90-year-old rule still fits today's government. In the Supreme Court, Two starkly different visions of presidential power clashed, setting the stage for a historic legal showdown. The ornate chamber was filled with tension as the justices prepared to hear arguments that could reshape the balance of power in Washington. Solicitor General John Sauer, representing the Trump administration, argued forcefully that the president must be able to fire any powerful executive official to ensure accountability to the American people. He claimed that without this authority the president cannot truly lead the executive branch or fulfill constitutional duties. Sauer called the 1935 precedent of Humphrey's executor outdated, emphasizing that today's federal agencies wield far more influence and regulatory power than those of the past. He argued that the legal landscape has changed dramatically since then. Sauer insisted that independent agency heads should not be shielded from presidential control, as it violates the Constitution's separation of powers. He warned that allowing such insulation could lead to unaccountable bureaucracies making decisions that affect millions. On the other side, representing Slaughter, attorney Amit Agarwal defended the current system. He argued that the president must follow laws passed by Congress, including removal protections for certain officials, because these laws safeguard the independence and expertise of regulatory agencies. Agarwal cautioned that firing commissioners for political reasons undermines the rule of law and destabilizes expert-driven regulation. He stressed that independent agencies are designed to make decisions based on facts and expertise, not shifting political winds. Agarwal warned that unchecked presidential removal power would politicize agencies, create chaos, and erode public trust in government. He argued that the public relies on these agencies to act impartially, free from political pressure. He urged the court to uphold nearly a century of precedent that carefully balances presidential oversight with the need for independent, expert governance. The justices were left to weigh the risks of presidential overreach against the need for agency independence, knowing their decision could have far-reaching consequences for how the federal government operates. The stakes could not be higher. The very future structure of the federal government and the balance of power between the branches now hangs in the balance. The justices' questions revealed a deep ideological split. Conservative justices seemed open to expanding presidential power, questioning whether the FTC's independence is still justified. They worried Congress could insulate too many agencies, undermining executive authority. Liberal justices warned that overturning precedent would concentrate too much power in the presidency, threatening the stability of government. They argued that agency independence protects against political manipulation and ensures expert decision-making. The court's divide underscored the case's significance for the future of American governance. The Supreme Court's decision in Trump versus Slaughter will reshape American governance. A ruling for Trump could let presidents fire leaders of dozens of independent agencies, from the Federal Reserve to the SEC, threatening their autonomy. Proponents say this would make government more responsive to voters. Critics warn it would create regulatory instability, with rules changing every administration. Even a narrow ruling against the FTC could open the door to future challenges against other agencies. Each agency's independence could soon be on trial. The decision will set new rules for the relationship between the president and the administrative state. The stakes, the balance of power in Washington for years to come. The Supreme Court's decision is expected by summer 2026, and many expect a ruling expanding presidential power. The court could overturn the 90-year-old precedent entirely or issue a narrower decision affecting only the FTC. Either way, the consequences will be immediate and far-reaching. If the president can fire agency heads for political reasons, the balance of power between the White House and federal agencies will shift dramatically. This case is part of a broader effort to reshape government, with more challenges already on the horizon. The outcome will affect how agencies protect consumers, manage the economy, and regulate daily life. At its core, the case is about accountability, stability, and the rule of law. The Supreme Court's answer will shape the presidency and federal government for generations.